The honorary degree will now be conferred. Mr. President, will you present the honorary degree candidate, Leila Getz?
Mr. Chancellor, it is my privilege to present Leila Getz. For more than 25 years, this exceptional British Columbian has been at the cultural center of our province. Her vision and daring have made our musical landscape infinitely richer and more rewarding. After earning her music degree in South Africa, Leila Getz taught music there until she immigrated to Canada in 1966. And to our great good fortune, made Vancouver her home. Here she continued in her chosen profession until 1980, when in an inspired moment, she founded the Vancouver Recital Society, with the goal of presenting the rising young stars of the international music scene. It was the perfect marriage of life and work, for with this bold stroke, she would transform Vancouver's classical music scene. It is a testament to her impeccable musical taste that the Society not only endured but thrived, quickly becoming a centerpiece for the performing arts in Vancouver. As its artistic director, she has brought world-renowned musicians to Vancouver and also introduced to us those young artists about to shine on the international stage. Her thrill in discovering new performers and her joy in sharing them with us proved infectious, and Vancouver audiences have responded enthusiastically. Today, the Vancouver Recital Society ranks amongst the world's finest classical music societies, and Leila Getz has earned the loyalty and affection of performers and concert-goers alike. Her contributions, however, did not end with the society. In 1986, she founded the Summer Music Chamber Festival, featuring many of the most talented young musicians from Canada and abroad. Under her guidance, the festival has also commissioned new works, offered workshops for young musicians, and presented free concerts to the community. Over the years, Leila has also generously given of her time and expertise to the broader community. She has served on the nominating committee for the Governor-General's Performing Arts Awards and on the juries of the national finals of the Canadian Music Competitions, the Canada Council, and the Ontario Arts Council. For her many and singular contributions to arts and culture, she was installed a member of the Order of Canada in 1994. Mr. Chancellor, Leila Getz once said, "My aim is for people to leave the recital hall feeling better than when they arrived." She has succeeded splendidly, and we are grateful to her. In recognition of her commitment to the performing arts and to the community, I ask on behalf of the Senate of this university that you confer upon Leila Getz the degree Doctor of Fine Arts honoris causa.
Leila Getz, by virtue of the authority vested in me and in the Senate of this university, I hereby admit you to the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts honoris causa. Dr. Getz will be hooded by Dr. Bill Kane, Associate Vice President, Academics.
Just turn and face the audience.
Thank you. Congratulations, Doctor. Good seeing you.
Congratulations. You all ready to go, Goody? Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure now to call on Dr. Leila Getz for her convocation address. Dr. Getz.
I'm deeply honored to stand before you today, and I want to thank Simon Fraser University for the singular honor it has done me. It is truly inspiring to be with all of you in this magnificent setting, and it is just about that subject, inspiration, that I'd like to talk about very briefly, for it is that, truly, that has defined the path to where I now stand. I've been extraordinarily lucky. I grew up in South Africa, a land that inspires one for many reasons. Even under the terrible yoke of apartheid, its oppressed people maintained their optimism and their deep conviction that the spirit of humanity would ultimately triumph, as it has done, and that they could live their lives in peace and harmony and realize their full potential. Growing up there, one could not but be inspired by their courage, their resilience, and their confidence in a brighter future. But as a young person, I also had another, possibly greater inspiration: music. It is music that has filled my life with purpose. I was a student in the music department of the University of Cape Town for 4 years. My summer job was selling records. Records were what we used to listen to before CDs. I sold records at the major classical music store in town. The owner was a concert presenter in his spare time, and I was often called upon to turn pages at the concerts. It proved a great apprenticeship. After graduation, I worked as a music teacher in a boys' school for several years. Good fortune, Leila Getz, brought me to Vancouver in 1966. Here, I did a modestly good job of raising 2 children and 3 dogs. But music always beckoned. I launched the Vancouver Recital Society in 1980. I didn't have the slightest idea of what I was getting into, but ignorance is bliss. For the past 26 years, I have had an education second to none, and it still continues. And while the arts has been a wonderful career for me, it is ultimately not the career part of it that drives me. It is the inspiration of great performances that move and transform one and send one out of the theater changed. It is the opportunity to share that inspiration with others and encourage them to allow themselves to be moved by it. Artistic encounters like this put color into our lives, both individually and as a society. They challenge, educate, and entertain us and uplift our spirits. They enhance our communication and our ability to feel and express empathy and understanding. They make our cities more livable. They are not confined by political boundaries. They bring us together. To make a case for the arts is to make a case for the quality of life. But as I stand here today, the arts are under siege in British Columbia, in Canada, and around the world. We live in a time of business models, profit and loss, return on investment and bottom lines. But how do you measure the return on investment for a concert that lifts you out of your seat? Should a great performance really be judged by whether all the seats in the auditorium were sold? Last week, I ran into a past board member of the Playhouse Theatre Company and very excitedly told him that their final production of the season, the play Trying, was one of the best pieces I had ever seen on stage anywhere. His response? They didn't make budget. Utterly deflated, I wondered why success in the arts is so often measured in purely financial terms. Yet governments and their agencies encourage that short-sighted way of thinking. arts organizations which produce inspiring work to which people flock are told that they are too successful for support. That has been my experience at the Vancouver Recital Society. Success in the arts seems to be stigmatized in a way success in other fields is not. The Vancouver Recital Society, like most other presenting arts organizations, only derives half of its income from ticket sales, with the rest coming from government or the private sector. It does not have an accumulated deficit yet, and ticket sales are generally robust. It has the stigma of being successful, which leads some to question our need to fundraise. We do so that we can follow our muse, evolve, reach higher, and do more and better. Being successful or good is simply not good enough. I encourage you to consider judging artistic endeavors differently, not by ignoring traditional criteria of financial performance, but by leavening it with a consideration of their willingness to take risks in seeking opportunities to inspire. Throughout history, the arts have been supported by patronage of enlightened people, foundations, and occasionally governments who recognize the importance of artistic inspiration. Sadly, they seem increasingly rare, and our society is the poorer for it. You have the opportunity to change things. I would like to leave you with the words of Sir John Tusa, director of London's Barbican Theatre, from his book, Art Matters. The arts already stand naked and without defense in a world where what cannot be measured is not valued, where what cannot be predicted will not be risked, where what cannot be controlled will not be permitted, where what cannot deliver a forecast outcome is not undertaken, where what does not belong to all will be allowed to none. The defense John Tusa speaks about can begin with you. It is in your interests to take up the cause. I urge you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Getz.